as a few of you may already know, I mentioned this in a previous video this week. I've been tweeting an awful lot about this on the subreddit. This has come up. I've actually been given gems, 1,200 gems every month from now on from ArenaNet to give away to you guys, to push promotions on the channel, help grow, and foster kind of a friendly atmosphere and do interesting stuff with. So the idea is, because we get gems every month I'm going to do a competition video, and this is an opportunity for everyone watching, yeah, you listening right now, everyone watching, to perhaps be able to win some gems. So there's 1,200 in total, and I'm going to give them away in 3 separate competitions each month, each worth 400 gems if you manage to win them. The thing that's really important to me though, if you're already kind of losing interest, is I want these videos to be fun for everyone to watch. It's not just, oh, let's get gems, and then people type a random comment, and it's really only about that. I actually want the videos themselves to have interesting content and interesting cool stuff, even for those of us who don't really care about 400G. So to that end, I think I've come up with some pretty cool stuff. First of all, there's going to be one that kind of helps grow the channel. This one I'm not running this month because I already did a competition for people giving ideas. So 400 of the gems are down, so I'm just going to nip that one in the bud. It's going to be something like, hey, if you're liking and favoriting videos a lot, then you've got a chance to win gems. That means that repeat viewers, people who watch all the videos and share all of them out, get a higher chance to win. They're a little bit more deserving, and it helps me out. But that one we're not going to run this month. The other two are going to be kind of Guild Wars based, because obviously this is to do with the gems. One of them is going to be simply about being creative and making cool stuff we can all watch on next month's video. I'm talking fan art and stuff of that nature. I'll talk more about that towards the end of the episode though. And the other one, which I'm about to talk a fair amount about here, is going to be more discussion based and allow a lot of people a platform for their ideas. So what we're going to be doing, guys, is making an elite specialization together. This is what we're going to be doing. So a little bit of backstory here. You guys might remember this tool here from Dolphy. This was that shaman build specialization calculator before we actually got the patch. He went through, he made this cool tool. You could go to any class. You could even go to Revenant, for example. You could go to any elite specialization like Dragon Hunter, and you could actually see the trait set up that we've heard about beforehand and make your builds before these things were even in the game. A lot of it, as far as I'm aware, is quite placeholder now, and now that the changes are actually in game, there's a little bit less reason to use it, but it's a really cool tool and very, very useful to a lot of us. To help push this out earlier, I wanted to demo it in a video before the tool was actually out. I helped Shaman make some. Specifically, I helped him work on the Elementalist stuff. Really didn't do very much, but in HTML editing, I was helping him write in all the information saved for Fire Magic and a couple of the other attunements. And that was okay, kind of tedious if anything, but once I'd finished and I reflected on this, I actually thought it was really cool and really easy with something like this for me to have theoretically just typed whatever I wanted in here. I didn't have to type burning fire, use cleansing fire, blah blah blah. I could have invented my own trait, surely. And then, of course, as I often do, I ended up spiraling off in my brain, thinking about a billion different ideas, and essentially having a lot of fun making my own elite specialization, or making my own trait line. And this is something you often see online as well now. This system is so expandable and so good for Guild Wars 2's future. You already see a lot of people coming up with their own elite specialization ideas, whether that be predictions for the first generation elite specialization we're going to be getting, you know, because ArenaNet just put a teaser out, or something completely wild and new we've never heard of before. In light of this, I've been, since I wrote this in, I've been pressuring Shaman and saying, hey, can you make a version of this where people can type their own stuff in and we can make our own and we can share them easily and people can post them on Reddit and stuff, and maybe one day that will be a reality, but I see this competition as a great opportunity for us to do something similar. This is what we're going to do, at least for this month. If it does well, I've got a lot of ideas for other months. Here's a template I made. We're going to make an elite specialization. You guys can use this template. There'll be a link in the description for you, and you just kind of fill it in, alright? You don't have to use this template. This was just something I mocked up. If you want space to have more detail on your elite specialization, when you really start getting into it, you start getting creative, feel free to create your own. In fact, if anyone makes a better template and wants to share it with me, I can use it for the competitions. I just threw this up today. I don't particularly have an eye for design, but here's what you do. You'd fill it in. You'd say, alright, what's the name of my elite specialization? You'd say, what is the equipable weapon it gets, and so on. And at the end of the month, when I have a bunch of these submissions in, the one I think is the best will win the 400 gems. But not just that, there's bound to be a lot of other cool ideas, a lot of other cool submissions, and so basically the creme de la creme will appear on the video, all the best ideas, all the most wild ideas, the most creative ideas, and we'll kind of have a video where we're talking about a potential future elite specialization and all the good things that come of it. And this is an opportunity for you, even if you don't win the gems, because you'll probably be in the video anyway, to have your ideas pushed out there, to put it in front of an audience of thousands of people, perhaps even some influential for the design of the game, and you'll even get comments and feedback on that in the comments for the video. So there's a lot of reason to do this, even if you don't win the gems. The gems themselves, though, I will be picking very carefully who wins. It will be based off of my own personal preference, so I'll probably like really creative ideas, but I also do value, just as a word of warning, realism and practicality quite highly. You know, if you say, oh, my specialization is the Super Saiyan, and then it's just got a bunch of Dragon Ball Z stuff, it's probably not going to win, because it would never appear actually in-game. That said, we're not just going to throw it out and have any specialization at all. We're going to do a themed one each time. So, this week's first theme, as you probably got from the title, is a pirate-based elite specialization. So that's what we're going to be making for this month. I have a ton of ideas of other themes. It can be kind of a type of character we end up making for a month. I could say one month, hey, let's make any mesmer-based specialization. So we're going to have a video where a bunch of people are showing, hey, they're illusionists, they're blue mages, they're bards, they're psychics, and so on. And then maybe the next week, we'll base it off of a type of utility skill. And I'll say, just give me an elite specialization that uses conjure weapons. And you'll have people coming in with thief-based specializations using conjure weapons, or guardians, or engineers, and then maybe in the future we'll base it on the weapon, and we'll say, alright, give me a spear-based elite specialization. No, even better, give me a crossbow-based elite specialization. Let's say they're adding a new weapon, they're adding a crossbow, what can you make? And then we'll see what someone's interpretation is of the elementalist version versus the ranger version, and so on. So you get the idea. Just to help you guys out, I actually filled in the template myself for something loosely based on this, so here we go. This is the Corsair. I mocked this up in maybe like 5 minutes. It took way longer to make the actual template than it did the elite specialization itself. This is all you do. You just download the image and just drop stuff into the boxes. So I called my one the Corsair. I've talked a bit about this in the channel before. It's going to be an engineer. You know, I've given a circle to the engineer profession here. It's going to get sword. They're basically going to be engineers to get sword, because I like the kind of the swashbuckling idea. But, you know, you can go for something else to come back here. You know, the name, we have the ArenaNet themselves quoting they name things kind of high fantasy, some stuff is Tyrian fantasy, some stuff is high concept, so, you know, what could we fill this in here? I just came up with a bunch of names very quickly. You could have a swashbuckler, you could have a pirate, you could have a dread pirate, corsair, sailor, captain, deckhand, buccaneer, aetherblade even. Perhaps my idea here of an engineer pirate really should be an aetherblade more than anything else, but that's up for you guys to decide. And so then you can kind of pick your profession as well. Who fits most as a pirate? Is it the engineer? Or maybe does the ranger fit a little bit better? The thief perhaps fits best. And then what about, like, really creative ones as well? Well, what if we tried to make a pirate that was a mesmer? What about a mesmer pirate or a guardian pirate? You know, those kind of creative combos, if you come up with really good ideas, that's going to be really fun for us to kind of share out. So with the weapon as well, you can say something like sword, you can treat it like a Gen 1 elite specialization, but what about in the future when they might be adding new weapons? You know, you could have, like, blunderbuss in here, you could have scimitar, you could have hand cannons. What about, like, a spear? You know, we've been talking about land spears a lot. Here we've got kind of a box for a description and the core mechanic. I really just went with a description. I actually copy-pasted lore from Corsairs from GW1. So Corsairs live outside the lore, whether they're standing on solid ground or the treacherous deck of a ship. Get a bit of an image of the specialization here if you guys can Google for one. I'm not asking anyone to actually draw something. Again, this was just concept art from the first game. We got our utility skills. So, you know, what type of utility skill do you want? I went with deception here in this example, but there are a fair few that fit for piratey-themed professions. You know, maybe traps kind of work, shouts, tricks, survival skills, physical skills. There's a wide variety of them. Here, again, I just took from the first game, throw net, which was an old Corsair skill, which kind of immobilized people. You can describe what the skills themselves do. You can, like, actually add the skill icons onto the bar down here if you want, and give, like, various examples. You don't have to be totally exhaustive. And then over here as well, we've got the weapon skills. So we know we're wielding a sword, but what exactly are the sword skills? So, because of my pressuring of Shaman, he's actually made a really cool, like, skill creator. Hopefully by the time the next competition comes around, you guys will be able to use this, but you can actually invent your own skills with this new tool that he's making. So here I made one just sort of from the work in progress version. Fire cannon, supercharge your cannon for massive damage, knocking back foes in the blast area, and this deals you know, burning damage. So in the future we might be able to even have some tools that really allow us to make these in much better ways, but for now we'll use the template. And then finally we finish off, last things about the elite specialization, your traits. So a little box here for your minor traits or the passives. Don't forget, one of the passives is really just kind of describing the core mechanic and how, you know, the core mechanic for that elite specialization has changed. You know, are you getting a new shroud if it's a necromancer? Are you getting an F4 if it's a guardian specialization, stuff like that. That's what one of the traits usually says, but then you do get 2 more. I just slapped in a random one here. Whenever you gain might, you gain fury, I don't know. And then 3 boxes. So what are the 3 traits that are competing for the adept slot? I just went gain resistance when you get 3 condis or more, you know, some short duration perhaps. Then the master traits, what are the master traits that are available? I went with deception skills, have no cast time. Remember, there's probably going to be a trait that affects the new class of utility skill. I went as well with 20% more damage while swashbuckling, some, you know, theoretical new mechanic that you might want to invent. And then grandmaster traits, you know, I just picked 3. Cripple deals damage as a potential option. Fear foes when you bombard them. I kind of had this cool idea of the Corsair would be someone who calls in, like, not air strikes, but artillery strikes from offshore or something, and you'd have this big bombard. And lastly, because, hey, it's a pirate, shout yar every 10 seconds, and perhaps this would do something fun. So, you know, it's really easy. I really haven't got too much detail here, but it gets the mind going, right? There's a lot of possibility in Guild Wars 2. Now, I was considering a video, you might still see this at some point, that was looking at just the vast, wide possibility of different specializations. Like, I tried to come up with just 5 elite specializations, which is, you know, way off into the future for Guild Wars 2 for every class, and it's surprisingly easy. So I just jotted down, you know, with the Mesmer, you've got Chronomancer, Illusionist, Magician, Blue Mage, Bard, Psychic. Then with the Elementalist, you've got Tempest, Conjurers, Summoners, Sorcerers, Spellblades, Reapers, Banshees, Sacrificers, Shamans, Hunters, Skirmishers, Corsair, as you can see I got there, Forge, Gun Mages, Demolishers, Operatives, Gunslingers, Snipers, Ninjas, Assassins, Tricksters, the Paragons, Monks, Dragoons, Samurais, Brawlers, and it just goes on and on and on. So I think this should be really fun. If it is as fun as I predict, we can do another one on a different theme next week. But go crazy, guys. One of you is going to win 400 gems, and we'll have some really cool talk about how they could do a pirate specialization in the future. That's one of this month's giveaways. The other one really doesn't have so much detail on it. I won't linger on it so much. Basically, I just want to incentivize people to create cool stuff. It can be art, it can be music that you create, it can be friggin' videos you shoot out in the real world, as long as it's either WoodenPotatoes or Guild Wars 2 related. So again, not only on this next episode will we have a bunch of cool pirate stuff to look at, we also have a lot of really interesting art people are coming up with too. One concept I did have was the idea of kind of just giving 400 gems to people who were doing like Canthan based art, so that eventually I could build up enough and do the lore series. And we'll see how viable that actually is. So my prompt, at least, for this video is going to be something to do with Shiro Tagachi. We've talked a lot about him this week, so if you guys create anything around him, that would be really, really cool, and I might be able to use it eventually one day. One particular moment for Shiro, I think, that I forgot about and would be really cool to be depicted is after he dies, he gets turned back into Jade. And isn't that a fantastic image that, you know, they do kind of okay in the cutscene, but not too awesome. But that's just a prompt, really. Anything you guys create, you'd be surprised. You might think I get loads of fan art coming in all the time. Most months I get none at all. So if you are sitting there, you have the remotest talent, if you throw something in, there's probably a good chance you might end up winning. And even if you don't, again, we'll be showing it on the next video and with a lot of cool stuff for everyone to watch. Anyway, there you go, guys. So those are the competitions. Next month there will be a further 400 gems available for kind of pushing the channel out and stuff. I haven't decided on that just yet, but I hope you enjoy. Hope you have fun with this. Let me know what you think, and I will see you at the end of the month. Catch you next time, everyone.